Those are our top stories this hour here on France 24. I'm Shona Bhattacharya. Thanks so much for tuning in. Speaking out against Trump's policies, Iran's Ayatollah Ali Khamenei told a group of students the U.S. president's actions faced opposition around the world. This 2 days before fresh sanctions come into effect. Here's an excerpt of Khamenei's address.
America's power and hegemony in the world are declining. The country is moving towards destruction. It is waning year by year. Today's United States is much weaker than the United States of 40 years ago, when Iran's Islamic Revolution happened. It's important to point out that America's power is declining.
Washington will reintroduce bans on Iran's banking sector and oil exports. Iran is the third largest oil exporter in the world. But 8 importers will be exempt from the ban, at least temporarily. Claire Rush has more.
The Trump administration said the 8 waivers will be temporary, the goal being to stabilize oil prices as countries reduce their crude imports from Iran. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo explained at a Washington press conference on Friday.
We expect to issue some temporary allotments to 8 jurisdictions, but only because they have demonstrated significant reductions in their crude oil and cooperation on many other fronts and have made important moves towards getting to zero crude oil importation. These negotiations are still ongoing.
Several news sources, citing senior U.S. and foreign officials, have reported which countries could be exempt. They include South Korea, Japan, China, India, Turkey, and Iraq, and likely Italy and the United Arab Emirates, according to expectations from oil analysts. Turkey's energy minister appears to confirm this.
According to the information we received, Turkey is among those countries, but we have not yet received the details.
Iran's neighbor Iraq has been granted a waiver as long as it does not pay Iran in U.S. dollars, according to Reuters. Meanwhile, India, a top buyer of Iranian crude, argued it would be near impossible to cut its imports so quickly. Although some analysts predict Italy will be exempt, Pompeo said Friday that the EU as a whole will not receive a waiver. This despite the bloc's significant imports of Iranian crude and its demands for a waiver, as the rift between Brussels and Washington threatens to widen further. Meanwhile, the Trump administration says the goal is to exert maximum pressure on Iran and ultimately drive its oil exports to zero.